And once again, we are live. Good evening, everyone. This is Jeanette Martin, I was going to say the manager. I'm the manager. I'm the president. I'm the paperwork shuffler and also the owner of MYBC Consulting. And I'm excited every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. I'm going to say 90% of the time, where I'm able to bring you an author. I believe in this world that we are the stewards of each other's creativity. And when we read a book or enjoy a piece of art or enjoy a good meal, it does the world no good if we just keep it to ourselves. So that was the birth of MYBC Virtual Bookstore. Is I love to read. I've met some really cool authors in my life, and let's get into the story. So good evening, Beverly, and please introduce your whole name, because I know I'm going to say your last name wrong again.
That's okay. Everybody does, so it's all right. I answer to anything.
Yes.
My name is Beverly Zeimet, and I am right beside you there with when it comes to books. I enjoy books. You know what? I never did when I was in high school, and we had to
Oh,
read novels, and stuff. I never read a book until 1974. I never read a book all the way through. Never. So because we always had to do a thesis and or whatever, I would
yes.
always go to the person that I knew that did all the reading, and I'd say, what did you like about the book? And man, I'd get the whole story, and then I'd just write my essay, and I but
That's better than getting it. In Canada, they're called Cliff Notes. There's little well, back when I was going to school 35 years ago, you could get like this, it's called Coles Notes, where somebody has read the summary and you could just read it. So if the book was like 500 pages, this thing was like 40 pages that you could read through and get it. But I think there's a different name in the States for the equivalent of a Coles Notes.
I don't know. It was crazy. Until I got something in my hands to read that
mm,
was relevant to who I am. You give me a metaphysical book, you give me a holistic book, you give me homeopathic, you give me something like that, and I won't put it down. But if you give me just a novel or something crazy like that, it's like I don't want nothing to do with it. So for me to read, it has to be something that's relevant. And I wrote my first book back in the early 2000s, and it was
mm,
on essential oils. I had my own business for like 15 years. I think I had like $300,000 in oils at one point.
wow.
Yeah, I know, it was a lot. And but I was traveling a lot. I was teaching a lot of workshops, and the workshops that I had that I was teaching, I had different oils to go with the workshop. So I think I had, oh my gosh, like 280 blends. And I taught classes on how to blend. So the art of blending, the art of smelling, and that's what my essential oil book is all about. It has like 80 some oils in there, breaking down all their properties and what they're good for and that type of stuff. So it's kind of a training book, I guess. And
So
then
how long did that take you to write? Because part of this, the author series, is to let people know they say out there, everybody's got a book in them, and to give
right.
kind of realistic timelines. Or so I've heard some people that, no, I wrote it in a week, and oh my gosh, it just kind of came out of the page. And let's dig a little deeper. Like, how long did it take you to write that first book? Because it sounds pretty labor intensive.
There was a lot of research on that book to get all the parts and pieces together for it, because it broke down what the oils are good for. So I had to do a lot of research to bring that all together. So that was, I think, from start to finish, it probably was a good 6 to 8 months. With all
Wow.
the research. Once I had all the research conglomerated, to actually put it together was pretty simple, right? At
And
that point.
and is it still available, the book?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, excellent. And where can somebody find that book?
They can actually
Oh,
find it on Amazon, or they can
okay.
call me and order it. So well, let's see. There it
There we
is.
go. Essential Oils Made Easy. Oh, great title.
Yeah, yeah.
Great title.
So that's kind of it. It actually it actually goes through in detail on how you can, it teaches you how to blend, is what it does,
Mm.
and proper use of oils and things like that. So it's yeah, it's a manual. It's not just a read.
Manual. What would you say is the misconception? Because that's why we write a book, because out there, well, in the sales process, they say find the pain point, solve the pain point, you make a sale. But what would you say is the biggest misconception when it comes to oils? Because this is a question that I
Oh,
have.
essential oils. Gosh, when I wrote this book, essential oils were just kind of coming onto the scene.
Hmm.
There in the United States, there just wasn't a lot of it because again, it wasn't understood. But I
Mm.
mean, you go to like the UK and all over Europe and China and Hong Kong and Japan, all those countries over there, they grew up with the oils, right?
Mm.
Now, where I grew up back in the Midwest, it was a lot of herbal things, right? We had a lot of that type of medicine, which is similar but different because the oils come from a lot of the same plants. It's just how they're processed and the liquid is out, and it's very concentrated, shall we say, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Okay.
but when you understand the properties and how they work, and oils were made to be blended, they weren't meant to be used in what they call neat, so to
Oh.
understand that, and that's kind of what this book is all about, to explain exactly the proper use, how to blend them, why to blend them, and when you actually mix them and you put them in a more of, say, a diluted form, you're actually getting more benefit than you are when you put it in a concentrate. I know it sounds crazy. I was in the automotive industry as well, and which is kind of crazy, but I was in the detail aspect of it. We had the chemicals, right? And
Hmm.
learning, what they were all about, going to the factory where I picked them up and stuff like that. I'm always asking questions. And they were talking about the blending and how to blend and why to blend. And again, when you have a concentrate with a a cleaner or something, it always says what? Add water,
Yeah. Add
right?
water. Yeah.
Right? And so oils are the same thing. You just add a oil, not a water, right? But there is a trick when you add the water, but that's my trick. But but
I love that. You're gonna have to get the book, I think, to
that's
get the
right.
trick.
Now you have to attend the class, and then I'll give you those secrets.
I
But
see.
yeah, but so there are things to factor in with all of that, and again, when you talk about different books, how long it takes you to write
Yeah.
a book, so what is the purpose? You have to know what your purpose is for writing the book,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
And that will give you an idea how long it's going to take. So the power formula book that I wrote, it was kind of a conglomeration when I was putting that one together, because I mean, it's kind of a work style book as well, because I use it in my classes and stuff. But it was like it just kept getting forever and ever and ever and ever. And I'm like, I'm never going to get this book done, because I'd been working on it now, oh my gosh, probably 8 months or longer, right? And I went to sleep one night and I said, I got to finish this book. I'm like, it's driving me crazy. And the next morning, I hear this little voice say, Beverly, you're writing a book, not an encyclopedia. And it's like, ding, ding, ding. So I had like 10 books, so I'm separating it. So I got the one out, and I'm doing another one and then another one, So it's so true. You just kind of like want to share everything. And I think this is a
Ah.
mistake, like authors do make if it's their first book. It's just to share everything that you've learned over all the years and dump it all in one book. And it's like, not a good idea. So you just kind of
So
start.
yeah. So the analogy I think that comes to mind with that is you don't have, well, most people don't have all their kids all at the same time, unless you know,
Unless you have
are
triplets or quadruplets or
triplets or four. But think of the work, and that's like writing 4 books all at the same time.
exactly,
So
exactly.
one at a time.
One
That's
at
fascinating.
one at a time.
One at
Yeah.
a time. So let's move on to, I posted that you're a multiple international book author. So we've talked about one book. What's some of your others in the multiple section?
The collaborated books, the collaboration, I guess, collaborating. There we go.
Yes,
That's the
yes.
word. Okay. So there was 16 of us, and that's the book that you see behind me, a part of it, which is Women Who Boss Up, and it was on health and wellness. Of course, that's the industry
Hmm,
I'm in. And it was each one of us telling our stories of where we started in the health and wellness, and how you got to where you are today, and the issues that I fought with was depression. I had 4 years of depression that just started going way south on me, to the point of which put me on the edge of suicide, right? And I had 3 little ones, and so the story's in the book, right? And it's like, is like overcoming that, and moving out of it. You know,
okay.
you get, sometimes you get in a position you don't even know how you got there, because that was not
Yeah.
who I was. Because I was always vibrant, I was outgoing, everything. But it's not like you're depressed 24/7. You're not. There's just certain things that trigger it, and then you spiral
Hmm,
down, right? And I was just not in a great situation. This was not my life. I had 3 kids in 3 years, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm not going
wow.
to follow my mother's footsteps, right? Yeah, I always tease, it's like I had sex 3 times, I had 3 kids, right? Because my mom had 11 of us, and it's like,
Wow.
this isn't my life. This isn't my life. Living in a little Hodunk, Iowa, and raising kids, and that's not me. I gotta go see the world, and I was in a dead end marriage. There was, it was crazy, and it just kind of spiraled down, and it was like, it's like you didn't there wasn't anyone you could talk to, because back then, and this was in the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
and so again, where your story is and what transpires in your life, sometimes you end up in a situation, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, what happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it's finding that inner strength, and that's kind of what the Boss Up series was all about, is how did you get to where you were, and then get out of that,
Right.
and I did, and it was like, I knew it was going to be up to me to take care of my kids, to raise them, and I needed to get my act together, because if I didn't have my act together, how are you going to, right? So that's kind of like your life story, like
Yeah.
book style thing, and then you have your business ones, so there's all different kinds of forms of books that you write. Maybe you just want to write a novel, maybe you just want to write, a dream book, maybe you want to write a children's story, so there's many different forms when it comes to writing a book. And it was interesting, after I did the power formula that I worked on for like a year, right? Once I decided it wasn't an encyclopedia, it was done in a week. But it was
Oh
after
my
that.
gosh.
I know. I know. I just pulled all the, because I had thousands of chapters, right? And I just pulled them all out and stuck them together. It's like, got it. I know, it's crazy.
Have you ever been called an overachiever?
Oh, once or twice.
Okay, just checking. I hear that and I go, my friend Beverly is an overachiever in certain things in her life.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call myself a perfectionist. I'm not a
Oh,
perfectionist.
good grief. Anybody
So,
who does, look at yourself
yeah,
in the mirror again.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. No, it was just like, and it's just kind of taking the chapters and put them in a chronological order to make
Mm,
sense, in the book. But I was in Wyoming when I was doing that. I was staying with my sister out there where it was nice and quiet out in the middle of no man's land, right? To do this book, which is really kind of cool. So it was like a week or two after that. I went to Vegas and I had business down there, and I took a weekend class, and it was how to write a book in a weekend. I'm like, are you kidding me? Right? But I took it, and there's a lot to be said about that, and it kind of really made sense because now when I'm doing my own books, a collaboration book, it's usually you have one chapter in it, and it writing your own book to really put together, regardless of what kind of book it is, as you take, like they say, you take 5 minutes, and then you just write titles. You just write. You don't
okay.
think. You just write. Right. You got 5 minutes because you got the timer on. So you just write. Okay. Then you take 10 minutes and you write names of chapters, and you just write. You don't stop. Right.
Hmm.
And then it's like, okay, now you take 10 minutes and you take the chapters that you wrote, right, and try to piece them together and pick out the top, because it's usually 8 to 10 chapters in a book is pretty standard. 250-page, 6 by 9. Those are your standard style
Okay.
books. If you stay in that, those are the size books that people will read from front to back. You
Yeah.
start getting more than that, they lose interest, right?
Are you talking nonfiction or fiction?
I'm talking both.
Oh,
You know,
really?
yeah,
Interesting.
on average, that's where the stats lie. That it's a 6 by 9,
Right. Yeah.
right, or close thereof, and then like 250 pages, give or take, right? And you
I
get a
never knew that.
yeah,
That's that's fascinating. Okay.
yeah, and you use your book. Your book isn't going to make you rich. What the book does for you is going to make it. I know, but it opens doors for you, to where you can get speaking engagements, because speaker and authors, like, you can't have one without the other, so to speak, right?
It's the peanut
And
butter and jelly.
kind of like that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So if we can unpack right now the collaborative book. So first of all, how did they find you? Or was this your project, and like define like a collaborative book, because I'm finding that a lot out there on, Facebook. Hey, we're doing this, we're doing
Right.
this, we're doing this. And I'd love for you to unpack what a collaborative book was, say your role, whether they found you, you instigate, like what does a collaborative book look like? And then
Okay.
I got to dive into, because behind your head it says bestseller 6 weeks. So let's dive into, yeah, over 6 weeks. Let's
Right.
dive into that collaborative book, because I'm
Okay.
thinking 16 people, and sometimes to get two people going in the same direction on a project is a big chore. So let's unpack that for a while.
Okay. This was my second one. The first one, actually, I mean, I was referred to the person who put this book together, the Boss Up book.
Okay.
The first book, they found me because I'm all over social media. You know, I do different shows. I just been in the face of the camera like forever, and they follow you. People will follow you, and so this came out of, I think it was it's either South America or it was Australia. I don't remember for sure because it's several years ago. And a lot of water under the bridge since then. But I know they found me out of nowhere, and it was like, "Would you like to be?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Step into
And
that. Yes, of course.
right. And then the Boss Up book, which just came out, like a month and a half ago, and it's been on the bestseller list. Um, It was just I had my chapter, to put in,
Hmm.
and Tam Luck is the person that did it, and she was referred to me by someone who was also going to be in the book, right? And so we connected. There was energy, there was a synergism, and I could have been in the previous book. I wasn't ready for it at that time, right?
Oh,
And so
you know what?
then
And I
I
think that's an important statement, just to stop there for a second, because right now, yes, we all have a book into us in us. They say is that shiny
right,
object syndrome. Like if you're not ready, you won't give your best quality work. So I'm really pleased that you said you passed up and that you weren't ready, because I think
right.
your story wouldn't be received then out there properly. It would have been forced. That's
You
my
just, yeah.
perception.
It's not so much that it would be forced. It's just that I don't think I just don't think it would have the impact. Right, because you
Mm,
just
that's a better
scribble
word. Yeah.
something down to get it done, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't in a position to do it because there's a lot of work when you're putting together a book, whether it's by yourself or not. You know, we were on podcast, podcast after podcast. You know, I
Mm.
interviewed the authors on my show, you know, and getting yourself out there in the media so that you can promote this book ahead of time. And it's not even it's number one bestseller is, you know, it's in the ebook, right? But the hard copy will come out sometime in the spring, right? So
Okay.
we're still doing pre-sales on it, and it's just that our keeping it out there, I guess, in the face of the social media, that people are still going and getting it and keeping it in that status. And but there's a lot that goes behind the scene. Writing the book,
Yeah, that's what I
hasn't
would
been
like to
made,
know. So from the first ding dong, Beverly, we want you to be involved. So
right?
that date to woo, hey ladies, or I think it's all ladies, yeah, about women who
Yeah,
boss
they're
up.
all, yeah.
Um, to okay, ladies, boom, we're the ebook is ready. So what's that time frame look like?
I think we I think it was like 4 months, 4 or 5
Okay.
months, right in that vicinity, right? And it was just the buildup. First off, we had a meeting, like every other Saturday. We'd come together. Okay, this is the next section of what has to be done, and
Mm-hmm.
the book had to get edited. You're looking at 16 different stories, right? And everybody getting
Right.
it in at the same time, and then the promotions. And so it wasn't just write the book and turn it over. you know she gave us the opportunity to learn what needed to be done behind the scenes, so that when we did another book, on our own, if we did, we would know what to do, because you have the PR stuff going, you have your advertising going. And again, getting yourself out there in the face, and you're talking about the up and coming book, and you're telling about, sharing with the other women and that type of thing. So you're working together, and the friendship that was developed
Oh,
by these 16 women, unbelievable. I've been doing a show for about a year now, and
okay.
I have met so many amazing women and guys. Not too many men get on my show, but they're mostly women. But it's just so awesome to be able to connect, and they're not like next door. I mean, I've met a
Mm.
lot of Canadians that have been on my show, a lot from the UK, Africa, Australia. It's just all over. And when you talk to that many different people and all these different cultures and everything, the world is very small, and everybody's story resonates somewhere along the line. Little pieces will resonate. And even just having an interview with someone is a way and an expression to get their story out. And to me, that is so rewarding. And Wayne Dyer was a mentor of mine from day one, the first time I picked up his book. He just like told my life story in his books. It's like, I should have wrote that book. It's everything that I do.
That's
it's
awesome.
it's crazy. But there's one statement that Wayne Dyer said that I will never forget. And I like to share that with people if they're thinking about maybe writing a book or maybe not. It's like, well, I don't know. And it's like, Wayne Dyer says, don't die with your story in you. And that is just so,
Wow.
it just warms my heart. And just sharing with an interview, just like this interview right here, is a way to become that expression of who you are and share out there. It really isn't a scary thing. And it doesn't have to be difficult, And if you, it's just like, well, I hear this a lot. I don't think I could fill up a whole book. Really? Get started. You might change your mind. But then there are some that really, don't they just don't have that, but they want to share their story, so
Right.
you're looking at probably mm, anywhere from 4 to 6 pages when you're doing a collaborated book like that,
Okay.
and that's the information that you want to share to the world to make that impact. And right now, collaborating books they're all over. I mean, that is the
Right.
hot thing going right now, which is really kind of cool because it does give you that opportunity to express yourself and to speak it out. And more people are doing different shows, and podcasting has been around for a long time, and that's just vocal, right? But uh a lot of your podcasting now, there's several of them that are doing both video and audio,
Right. Right.
right?
Oh,
So
oh my, you're fascinating. It's interesting to listen to you. And I think in analogies, I think in, what the reality,
right,
what the equivalent is. And when I know about the collaboration books, it's almost to me like it's wanting to mirror what we want our reality to be. Like if we can just all come together as human beings in life in a collaborative mode, what
right,
a better world it would be. So by you six women coming together and putting your little stamp, and that book lives here, and then there's another collaboration book that maybe has 20 women or a group of people in it, and it's living here, and it's almost like we're going to put the books down here as your foundation to show you guys that people can collaborate. We can come together under the same story. We all can all have our own expertise and
right,
opinions and education to the world, and come together in collaboration. That it's almost the books are starting to mirror what we want our world to be right now.
right.
And what that's just fascinating. We are coming to the end, and can you repeat? I think we need to leave it with the quote that you just said from Wayne Dyer.
Don't die with your story in you.
Guys, it doesn't get any better than that. And thank you so much, Beverly, for coming on and talking about your books and the books that you have read. Like Beverly said, the pre-sale of the hardcover book of Women Who Boss Up is coming out soon in pre-store or pre-sale. It got listed today on the MYBC virtual bookstore shelves. Check it out. I'll put the link afterwards. And hey guys, go grab a book or go grab a
Yes,
pad of
go grab a
paper
book.
or grab a piece of paper and start writing your book. Don't leave it
There you
inside
go.
you. Somebody needs to listen to your story. So
And
let's
reach
listen
reach
and
out.
read and learn.
Reach
Yes.
out. Reach out if you want to know how to do this, if you want to get
Oh,
in a book that's a collaboration, reach out, because I know a lot of them that are looking for authors to work together in a book. So it's out there. If you want it, just reach out and ask for it.
perfect. Thank you so much, my friend.
Well,
It
thank
was been
you.
an absolute joy, and we will continue making our chapters together in this life. So
There
thank you
you
so
go.
much.